Hey, you tennis nuts out there. Welcome once again to Living at the 45. I am really excited today to be talking to a great guest, a guy that he was in the age group ahead of me when I was playing, NorCal tournaments like Burlingame and Belvedere, the hard courts, Kalamazoo. I was always, bounced out in the first or second round. And this guy was, he was winning them all. So he was sort of one of my idols growing up. And I want to introduce you all to Brian Teacher. Brian, welcome to the show. Talk about living legends. Another friend of mine now that has won the Australian Open, just like our friend Johan. Brian won the Open, I think, in 1980, right?
It started in December 80, but it finished in 81. And so there's this discrepancy. Some people say the 80, the trophy says 81, but I think it should be the 80 because it started in 80.
That's interesting because Johan, I think, won it twice in the same year.
Oh, so does his trophy say the same year?
Yeah, because he played it right as it switched and won that one, and then it switched to the new time and something like that. I mean, I know he had mentioned something like that when we chatted last.
Surprised me.
Yeah. But and Brian, you, like I said, you have a real legacy as far as I'm concerned. In the juniors, you were right up there with all the other tennis gods that the rest of us first rounders looked at, and you went on to play pro. You got top 10, I believe, like what, 7 or 8 in the world?
Yeah, 7 I think was my highest in singles, and 5 or 6 in doubles.
But I really want to talk about today, the here and now, what you're doing today, because kind of like with Johan and Roscoe, everyone's still working. Look at us. I mean, we're all still out there grinding, having a good time, and involved with the sport that, I don't know, I guess you're like me now. You want to give back because tennis gave you so much. I'm going out on a limb saying that, but I think that's.
Yeah, I started full court tennis, which we're going to get into, is because I thought it made me, this technology that I've developed makes me a better coach. And so I figured, shoot, if it makes me a better coach, why wouldn't it make, 99% of the world's coaches better? I mean, I played on the tour. I got to the top in the ATP, singles we just discussed. And then I coached, at the top of the game, traveled with Rosetsky, helped him, get to the US Open finals and quarterfinals of Wimbledon. And so I worked with a lot of top players over the years. I traveled on the tour after I played. So I traveled for about 8-10 years coaching different players. And so I think that, and I've developed juniors. So I have a pretty good idea. I see the kids that come to me at age 15, 16, 14, and with all effed up games that they have problems with particular aspects of their game, maybe not their whole game. But I see a lot of funky strokes that, these kids and the parents spend thousands of dollars and thousands of hours of time trying to perfect their technique. And by the time I get them or see them, it's like it's almost too late. They've got all this bad muscle memory and they're all going to hit a roadblock. 90% of them are going to hit a roadblock where they're not going to continue with the sport we love because they can't win anymore because their technique is so bad. And so that's kind of the thing that drove me to say, hey, the coaches should be using this type of technology that I use to be able to take a video, to be able to scroll through it, to be able to compare it to a pro stroke and show the kid on the court in 5 minutes what's going on. But on top of that, hey, why not be able to use it to do a live stroke video call to show the kid, to go over any content? Why not be able to analyze that and send it back and be able to hire a coach to be able to either do it? The coach can choose to do it for free and just help the kid in a lesson space, or he can put his rates up and somebody can hire him for whatever price he wants to do. So that's really where the technology is today. It's crazy today in this day and age for kids to have bad technique. It is ridiculous, basically, with all the technology available today, to look at the strokes, to be able to compare them and then fix what's going on. It's just silly. And so coaches have to just grab the technology, start using it, and start getting better at what they do and start helping these kids so that they can become better tennis players and enjoy the sport we love.
Yep. I told you, we just met today, but we had a little 25-minute chat before we started. And I told you, I think I did my first virtual lesson almost 10 years ago. I had a student in town, but in California, and then he moved to Japan. So we kept the lessons going, right? It was a little more cumbersome. Today, I've got over a dozen virtual students that I see literally every week. And I'm telling you, it takes a long time though, because you give them half an hour to an hour on the, live with them. But if it's an encore lesson, which I'll show you one I just did this morning, a couple hours ago with these two ladies from Virginia. And so now I'm in post-production, and that's a real pain in the ass. I mean, I was going to show you really quickly, if you don't mind me sharing the screen, what I have to go through. And then maybe you could tell me how your app could help me and everybody else out there. Sure. So this was just from this morning. And so what I did was I worked with these two ladies, and so you see, I'm working with two ladies and their two phones, and they have their ear pods on, which really makes life easier because I can coach them literally. So I've got one lobbing the other. We're working on overheads and lobs. We're working on lobs as well. So these ladies are about 3-0. Hold on. So you hear me, I'm going, hold on, bring it in. Come on over here. And I'm just going to play this briefly. Just so maybe you can help me out.
Coming over to their phones, which are sitting there. Is that right or not?
That's correct. They're coming over to their phones because I saw enough. So now what I had to do here was it was the three of us on the podcast, right? You saw the three different screens, but now I go in close up. I have to split the video. Then I have to crop it. So it's just me because when I give them this video, right, I want them to see something. They don't need to see themselves listening to me. So I want to make it larger. So I go in. So this is a little bit of the lesson part. Yeah. I'm saying this is how she goes into her overhead. No coil.
Right.
I'm facing the net. So what I want you to do is keep your finger on the strings like you would for a forehand. See that? Keep your finger on the strings and line up your triangle. See this triangle I create with my finger and my racket?
Live what you're doing, right? What they need to do.
And then climb up right from here, climb up the ball. Okay. Because she was facing the net and no coil, none at all. And then we go back to the lesson. See, much better. Anyway, I mean, that's just part of it.
And then what do you so you're going through this while they're playing and you're kind of instructing them. And then after you're done with this, then what do? You'll go back and analyze this and give it to them, or what will you do?
Well, no, I've already given them the lesson, but it's great because they have a library of these videos. I see them opening, they're on Vimeo. So I see them opening them all the time and looking at them in between matches and everything else. But I have to go through this whole bloody thing, Brian. And you see now here, I would literally, if I wanted just to get one person, I would have to split the screen right here. And then I'd have to go here and I'd have to go to crop right there. And then if I wanted to just show the woman hitting the overhead, I would go here. So if I have an hour lesson, you can see it's going to take me. So now I just have that. Keep the hands together, line up the 45. Much better. Oh, that's better. Anyway, so you see what I mean? You see how cumbersome it is for me? But it works really well. And like I said, I've got no one's leaving and I've got great students. And during the winter, when it's snowing outside here in Colorado or raining or whatever, and let's say my lessons are rained out, I still have plenty to do all the time, but a little bit too much. Like this summer was really tough because I was teaching an average about 5 hours a day, 5-6 days a week. Then I'd come home. I'd have virtual lessons at 6 and 7 in the morning because that's like 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock on the East Coast. And God forbid if it's someone in France, then it's a 7-hour difference. No problem. I'll do it all the time. I love it. But it's the post-production. So I'm really curious about your app and why it's different than just working with Zoom, the ear pods, and having them get a tripod for their phone. How is it? That because I would love it if it could help me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's so we're a little different. So here's full court tennis. And so
Very
it's a
nicely presented. I like that.
little
Very
different
simple.
in the sense, let me so for instance, I could look up a player here and I'll just look up let's see. So I have Christina Nakashima, who's Brandon and Bryce's mother. So you can
Okay.
see on here, somebody, you can start a stroke analysis or live video lesson. So I have a lesson with him. All you do is touch that and it starts a lesson. So it's like starting a live video like we're doing a Zoom call. And they would get a notification to get on the call. But I'll just show you in general what it looks like, because I'm going to go back to, because I already have a lesson space with them. So I'm going into my players. Those are people I've had lessons with.
Yep.
And so let's look up Christina. And so you can see, so here I've got this is just like a stroke analysis lesson, and we can review any type of video in this thing. And so I've got a stroke analysis lesson, and you can see there that I have multiple people. I had 4 people you can see in the lesson space.
Yep.
And for instance, so if we go down to the bottom, so we can add participants in this if we want. I've got Dominique, who played on, who was top.
Sure. I know her body.
He's got wins over Federer and Nadal. I've got Jaime, who's Brandon's hitting partner, Bryce, the mother. And so this is a lesson space. And basically in here, you could load literally, you can load anything as far as even a match. You could load a match it links up to Dropbox. You could load a full match in here if you wanted to, or just clips from your video, from your library of videos you've taken with the app, or from your camera roll videos you've downloaded. So in any type of a format of a video and length, you can load in here. And then you basically, once it's loaded, everybody has a view and you can text and write instructions. So you can analyze the video. I'm just going to go back to the top just to show you. And it's got a date and timestamp everywhere. And so you can analyze the video. And here we've got analyzed video of Bryce. And there's no reason to really look at it, but it's just, I can open it up and I'm just showing, I'm comparing, 2 versions of his backhands. Or I have a pro library like here, and we can compare his backhand to Marcus Giron or something. So,
Okay, Brandon, this is a good one. After Christmas, we're going to look at Marcus Giron. I like this one because you're both hitting with your left foot stretched out, which is a good example to look at. So let's watch here from the ready position right here. And you see, you turn your racket head right there. That's good. I like that. But I would also like if you could just start bending that racket head back a little bit so that see how it's still pointed forward? Get the racket back in a better position. Watch Djokovic when he prepares.
And I can turn it this way too.
And the wrists are in the position in the front of his body. Now watch Giron down here. As he moves, the hands are in front of his body right here. And see how your racket is still not even coming close to being there. Look at Giron's racket face. That's a typical racket face of a top pro or a good pro right there, okay? Right there. And yours is late preparing, okay? And now watch. Now you go back. See, your racket face is still wrong there. Look at where Giron's racket is.
Sorry.
Okay. So, right. Okay. You plan on your left foot. Okay. So you see your racket head is still not pointed in a good position. I want to get it up so that it loads up a little bit higher. It doesn't have to load as high as Giron, but it needs to go up a little bit higher and then drop down. Now watch where Giron's is. Look at how far Giron's hands. So your wrist, definitely the racket should already be bent back a little bit right here. See how it's straight? And your hands are a little bit too close to your body. Look where Giron's hands are right here, okay? And the reason I say that, now you push your arms out, it should all be attached to basically your torso, moving around your torso and loading your shoulders back. See the space there between his hands and his shoulders? Yours are a little tight in there. Look at his space in his arms and look at your arms, okay? Your arms do not look comfortable in there. Okay, and then you got to load up a little bit higher with the swing. Just a little bit higher angle elevation up, okay? To point it a little bit up more so that when you plant on the racket that you drop it down. Now you are dropping it down there good. and you're both in a similar position. But look at Marcus's racket where his is loaded back there, and yours is too much drop down on your hip, okay? And you see how your hands are touching your hip and Marcus's is away from the hip. Now watch as you stretch from the press from the left foot to the right foot and come around, and watch this right here. Watch Marcus below first. The left hip rotates as you push forward, right? And your shoulders come around, right? And the hands are coming together. See where Marcus's hands are away from his body, your hands are tucked in. And when he comes forward, he's making contact squarely in front of the body. Now, look at your left shoulder and look at his left shoulder. Your left shoulder comes to about right there, and then it kind of stops. Watch Marcus's shoulder there. See how his shoulder pushes through the shot. Your arm's coming through, but your shoulder's not really pushing through. You're kind of just, you're already off the ball right here.
So we don't need to finish anymore, but you can kind of see that. So that's one part of the
technology. Not to mention, look at Jeroen's eyes. He's still locating that. He's still at contact with his eyes, and the other guy, he's already pulled his head into the court, so he's lost his coil compared to the other guy. I mean, but anyway, that's very interesting.
You have the ability to, so we have a pro library for one thing, you know, with these guys. So we've got, you know, a list of players here with the pro library.
Oh, there's Stevie Johnson. Yep. And there's Johan. Okay.
But, you know, you can get your own library and do whatever you want. You can get images off of the internet, whatever, and take a video. If you use this to take a video, it pops into this format where, you know, you can, once it's in this format, this is my library. You can pretty much compare it. You know, you can do whatever you want and compare it. This is an older gentleman, and you can compare it to anybody once it's in this format, right? So
I understand. You know, I do all this, but it's very cumbersome for me. But yes, I'll have to go to something like one of my folders and look up. I've got a pro library folder, right, where I have all my favorite players from Rios to Federer, all the ones, because my situation's a little different than yours. Mine's really, I think I told you earlier, I'm into this patented nonlinear system of how a small figure eight in your hips creates a larger sine wave out in your arms and pulls at the legs and the arms at the same time, like a double conic. And Federer is one of the best examples, and so is a guy like Rios. The most effortless players, Henin, they seem to be the best examples. So yeah, I'll have to go flying through those every single time I want to show someone something. So you've got it very nice and organized. I can see where this would be very helpful. Like I said, I'm already doing it. So I mean, I'm either competition to you or I'm a client of yours.
You're look at you as competition, but everybody can do whatever they want. I'm just trying to make it easier. So let me
that's just show you make it a lot easier. That's what I was really getting at is it looks like I could be a lot quicker. Go ahead.
So like I just showed you, you can go on a player's profile and just start a lesson, but you also can go in here and you can go into the hamburger menu and you can go into lessons and coaching rates, and you can set your coaching rates. And so you can see, you can add a coaching rate here. So you can add for one stroke, you know, and you can see down here, 1 stroke, 2 or 4 strokes. You can go
very interesting.
You can add your for 20 minutes, you can have rates 20 minutes, 50 minutes, 110 minutes. Okay. And you save it. And this is what it is right here. And then you can share your rates. So you can go out and you can say, okay, you know, I want to share my rates. I'm going to send them out to social media, and it's got a QR code on that. So you can share your rates to anybody.
Nice. Very nice.
Mail, text it to anybody, and then say, hey, download the app. You also have the ability to go on the front of the app. Let me just also go in one thing. So let's say for a stroke analysis, if you want to do a hired stroke analysis lesson, as soon as they hire you, you have a lesson, right? And so you have 3 days. They have 3 days to send you the video. You have 3 days to send it back. In a live video call, you schedule it, right? You schedule it for a certain time and day. So the coach has to go into their availability. And so we go right here, coach calendar availability, and your coach sets your availability. So let's look at one day here. I got Monday, 10 to 5 o'clock or whatever. So if I go here and 10 to 5 o'clock, so if I untap it, so now I'm only available at 10:30. If I want to be available from 9 o'clock on, so I tap it and then I go back and I can save it. And then you can see it's not saved until it says default availability has been saved. Then as a player can look on my schedule, and I'll let's see if I have my other app here, and so I'm on a player app here because it says coach lessons, not player lessons. On the coach app said my players, this one says coach lessons. And so if we go into hire a coach, for instance, and we looked up Brian Teacher, and by the way, there's a budget on there. If somebody had a budget and they wanted to search for a particular budget, they had a certain budget, they could put their numbers in. So for right here, so let's say live video consult lessons. So this is my profile. And so live video. So let's say, we wanted to hire him. I think this rate is wrong, is incorrect, because I was testing something. So I put in a $30 rate for 20 minutes, which is not good for me, but I'll change that after this. So you see the days I'm available for days, and let's say on the 14th. And so these are the times I'm available. I won't hire myself, but I'm just going to go. So let's say I wanted 11:30 less, and you go next, and then all of a sudden my credit card's in there, and it's submit. And next thing you know, I have hired Brian Teacher for a lesson, and that lesson will open up, and it would be just like as if Brian did a free lesson for me, and I can show you what that would look like right now with a free video call lesson. So I'll go into my app and I'll look up, just for instance, I'll look up Lori Seitz, and I'll say, okay, I'm going to start a live video consult lesson with her. Just pretend that, she hired me, but it says I have one already existed there. So let's try Chase Kelly just to show you, start a live video consult. Says I got also all my contacts, I have unfinished lessons already. Let me try one more with somebody that works for me just to show you how it works. See if I can get somebody that I'll just go in here, and this is Lori Seitz. So let's see. So I'm going to look Brian Teacher up, and I'm in Lori Seitz, a player app. And so I'm going to go for show more lessons, because it says I have it says, so you can see here, current lessons is a free live video consult. So that's the lesson that I have going.
That's what I do too. I do free live. I think that's a good way to go. You just let people call you and send you like a 30-second clip. Is that what you do? And that's kind of what I do.
So in this thing, that's what I'm saying. They can actually send me a full match if I want to. They can download a full match, and I have a website. So if you're on the website, you can actually do the call on the website, and it'll take it. So you can do mix and match. Somebody could be on their phone and you could be on your website if they hired you, and it will take the appropriate time. If somebody hired you for 40 minutes on the website, you'll be able to do it on the website, and you'll have a bigger screen if you wanted to look at on a bigger screen, right? So you'd be able to do the call on a big screen or a little screen, whatever you want, and you could go over. So my call is not live per se like yours. Mine is saying, hey, you want to go over, let's go over in a video call. You load a full match up there, right? And you can load a full match really easy on the website. So once you have a profile on the app, you have a profile, you just sign in on the computer. And once you're in the website on the computer, in your library or lesson space, you could load as much video as you want. You can load it from your computer, from Dropbox, and it's very simple and fast. You don't have to worry about Wi-Fi connections on your computer, and you load it really quickly, and it goes into this lesson space. Then when we go into a live consult, we share a screen, and it's instead of saying, hey, well, you're paying me, this is an hour lesson or 50-minute lesson. Do you want to go over the 50 minutes, or do you have particular spots in the video that you want me to address with you live right now? And so you can basically look at a whole match or practice, or you can analyze strokes. You can analyze strokes just like I was showing you before. So you have to download this stuff. I don't know how it downloads there. It did while we're on this screen share. But so I could basically open this up, and a match opens up this way as well. And so you can open it up. And if you want to be on the video call and be drawing, you could do that. Or
I like that. I like that.
So you can just play it. So if you have a match loaded up, so there is awkward. So if you had a match loaded up, you can go over it live and just go to the points and scroll through. And why this system is better than traditional viewing is when you load a match on Jack, for instance, you now have a reference point of tracking the ball. So you can see right here, the ball comes. So there's not a good shot for him, but anyway, if somebody had like if you're looking at a match recorder from behind the court, for instance, you're looking at a serve and a return a serve, and you're trying to help the guy on return a serve. So you're able to track the balance point of the returner with his split step in relationship to where that ball is.
Ah, yes, that's great.
And so you're able to see, oh my God, he took too big of a step, and look where the ball is. We know that the ball, we know if you look at Djokovic, for instance, that he is in perfect balance every time that ball crosses the net immediately.
Yeah.
Djokovic balance is pivoted to go to the ball, and he's loose with his feet to pivot. If you don't have that balance, you're not going to have a good return of serve. And so we can really show the person these details in a match in this format that you can't show in traditional viewing. So you can take a whole video with my app if you want to take a whole video with my app. And so, or you could load video that you've taken with a more sophisticated device. So either way. So if you go to the camera at the front, I'll just go to the home screen. If you go to the camera at the front of the device and you check up here, which is the settings, I typically go actually at 720p is what I like to, and frames a second. Just for instance, you can see right here at 720p, 60 frames. I don't typically need 60 frames. Then you can see it takes into account how much space you have on your device. And at the top right, 45 minutes. So I typically go 30 frames per second. And then
you cut out the storage space.
An hour and 30 minutes. So you could have good encoding. So that's the speed I keep it on. So I could record an hour and 30 minutes, put this up behind the court and take the whole match that way. And then they can, and then it's
30
on the
megabytes
thing. And you can just go through it. Or if you want to, like I say, load a whole match that you took with a GoPro or something, you could do that. So it shows you what to take there. And then just to let you know, so we also have right here in the top left, which is the timer. So if you wanted a self timer, you could start in 5, 10, 20 seconds.
Gotcha.
And you could set your record for 1 minute, 3 minutes, 10 minutes or max. So it's up to you. So we got a lot of functionality on it.
This is really well done. Yeah. And I was right about what I was thinking. This would save me a ton of time, actually, because I do most of this stuff, slow motion, everything, but I do it manually.
Okay. Yeah. And you could kind of, so if you had a match up there and you said, I want to record like, so with the recording and the annotation, I think it's limited to 5 minutes, but let's say you had a match and somebody sent you a match. So you could do, you could do multiple annotations with the app of 5-minute durations of, okay, you want me to annotate like 20 minutes? Okay. So that's, I'll have to do 4 videos of 5 minutes each, and I'll charge you for those videos. So you could do it that way too. Whatever you want. But right now, so what we're adding, this is kind of exciting, is that if I'm going to show you right now what we're going into, and we're trying to get this out, is basically we're going into subscriptions and courses. And I know you do courses, but we're going to show you possibly a different.
And I have a membership site as well. I do subscription. I have a membership site. I have members and yeah.
So just to show you, so what we're doing, this is like so this is like a player app, right? For instance, so I'm just going to go into premium content, which is going to be this is new build that we're going to be coming out with coaches content.
Gotcha.
You're going to be able to get, you're going to be able to subscribe to a coach's subscription. And, with different prices, whatever the coach puts up there, he's going to have up to 3 channels that he can make a subscription for, and you're going to be able to subscribe to him. And what is that good for? Well, in a sense, so people say, well, how many people does your app have? And I say, well, it really doesn't matter. And I'll tell you, we have 1,400 people. So it is what it is. We have like, I don't know, 350 coaches and about 1,000 users. So we need more users on the platform. But in general, you don't need for Full Court Tennis to get you business. You have your own students you work with. So just go to the invite button, hit the invite button, and send
Gotcha.
You don't have to wait for Full Court Tennis to get you business. You can go get it yourself, right? You are built up, but you have the power to do it yourself. Coaches have to start using technology and start learning to be entrepreneurial. And you know better than anybody, the reason is why? Because you're never going to make enough money teaching an hourly lesson. It just ain't going to happen. And you're going to ruin your body and be destroyed like all of us that have done it. So start investing in yourself, start learning technology, right? I'm trying to build this program for coaches to make more money and to help kids and to help players. And it helps the coach and it'll help you as a coach to make more money. And that's what I'm doing. And so ultimately, after this subscription comes out in a couple of weeks, we're going to start courses, which is you'll be able to add any content you want and tailor make it so that you can do a live video call in that course. And you could say, okay, you know, I'm having my course on serve. Okay. But, you know, my course is 3 months long, right? And as soon as you hit it, it's 3 months long. In my course, you're going to get video of how to serve better. And you know what? You're going to be able to send me video of your strokes. I'm going to be able to analyze it in the court. I'm going to give you individualized instruction. And if you want, we can get on a live video consult to go over everything as well. And that course is going to be whatever, $400, $500, whatever you want it to be. And it'll be in that system. And the bottom line is what I'm trying to do is saying, you know what? I want the coaches to make all this money. I want the coaches to use the system because I think it believes it. So the reality is we're starting off pretty much it's going to be free, but eventually it's going to be more like a monthly fee of about $20-$30 a month or something. And so, so that you can make the majority of the money. I think the transaction fee is going to be 6% and it's going to be 6%. Stripe takes 3% and our company is going to 3%. And the reason we're taking 3% is in case there's a refund that Stripe takes 3% and we have to have the money available to refund. So
that's right.
What to do is incredibly fair. And it's going to be a way for coaches to make a lot of money. Coaches need, I mean, it's a tough business. Teaching tennis is a tough business. That's the bottom line. It can be fun and a great livelihood, but at the end of the day, you do it for 10 years. You and I know that it's hard on your body, basically. And so this technology helps me be a better coach. It should help most people be a better coach, and it's going to help the students. So it should help technology and it should help you make more money. That's the goal.
Yeah, I really, I'm 100% in. You know, I'm 100% in. I'm doing it, but I agree with you. It does make you a better coach. I was telling one of my players, just getting ready for the Colorado Open here this weekend, and I was telling him that you know, and he was saying the same because he watches the live lessons. I put my live lessons so all the members, right? I charge $15 a month. They can all watch the live lessons every week. I put up a new live lesson, even though I have like 12 a week. I just put one up every week.
Curve. You're ahead of the curve with everybody. Not too many people are doing it really.
No, they're not. But it does make me a better coach on court. I noticed that this weekend when I was on court, because when you have the video to refer back to, I've even had lessons with people where I was really focused on, let's say, the secondary coil in their wrist or something like that, or you know, unraveling from their hip a little early. But then when I watch the video again, and then I watch it in slow motion, and then, you know, comfort of my own home, I'm like, oh shit, I should have said, my God, her eyes are straight into the court. She's not lining up her eyes, you know, or something like that. And it actually, you see things in retrospect differently. So I agree with you. It does make you a much better coach.
Look, you can't see it all at once. It's impossible. And even when you're teaching and you're in front, you only see part of it. You can't see the backward part of the swing, or you can't, there's so many things you can't see.
Of course. You don't have the angles all the time. Like I'll tell a client, like this morning, I said, gee, would you move the camera to behind you? I want to see what it looks like behind you, or to the side, or put it at the 45-degree angle, all that stuff. You're absolutely right. But mine's very, low tech compared to yours.
Yours issue is, I like what you're doing. It's great. The issue is, okay, you know, if they don't have a good signal, we drop the signal, right? And that we have to wait until they adjust the angles. Here you're telling the player, hey, you want to do this in the best way possible for you and me? Figure it out, load the video up. You can load it on your computer. You can load it from the app. You can take video from the app. You can use a GoPro and download it to your computer. There's 50 different ways. Get the video on the system, and then we can have some fun. I don't want to deal with that part of the tech with you, basically.
And what I really like about your system, I want to delve into it after we meet today. Really, I'm going to make a profile and get into it a little bit myself. But what I like is I was just telling my wife, I'm going to have to cut my lessons soon, virtual. On court, no problem. I've got a free moment from 11 to 12. But with this, I can only take another 4 or 5 students and I'm done, because there's so much post-production. There's no way I can have more than, 15, 20 students at a time, because it takes a long time the way I do it. But I have a feeling that with this app, it looks so much more organized and everything is in its place. I bet I could probably double the amount of students instead of just taking a handful more. And this summer, I even told one person, come back in September when I'm a little slower, because I just didn't have time. Didn't have time. So I think this is a really good organization. Would you unshare the screen real quickly? I want to, in prep for our meeting today, I wanted to ask the women I was coaching this morning. I asked them a couple of questions. Just because they've never done Zoom lessons like we're doing, and I just said, how's it going for you? And I just wanted to get their opinion. And I've got these were comments on the virtual lessons this morning, about a minute and a half, but it was kind of interesting. And I think people watching this video, this podcast with you and I, should see what real people are saying about virtual lessons. I thought it was a good idea, at least. And they weren't being, they weren't trying to be eloquent. You can see they're just being off the cuff, because I just, at the end of our hour plus lesson, I said, okay, ladies, before we hang up, give me your thoughts on, we've been doing this for just 2 months now. And so I thought it'd be interesting to hear. And I think you'll like this.
Spinning our wheels, kind of like, don't you think so, Marissa? Like, I felt like we were spinning our wheels, like, stuck with the local pros, and the way that you've explained things has just been like got us unstuck. And I'm not sure if we ever would have gotten unstuck, frankly. I mean, think about that was in June, where I was like, the pro was like, make yourself follow through. And I heard you say that's the tail wagging on dog. And I was like, the way you explained it connectivity made a lot of sense. So that I was working on that for like 3 months. And I couldn't get it. And, that's like, I never had a hard time following through now. So it's funny. Like, it's just taken, I think it's gotten both of us unstuck on things that we've been stuck on for a while. And so in that way, we have big money, because we're not doing any more private lessons with the local pros, because I felt like.
Yeah, she's telling me they're saving like $700 a month on lessons and clinics.
More lessons with the local pros. See, that's the problem. That's what she just said, Jack, is she's spending this money, she's not getting any better, right? Which is disappointing.
Yeah, but well, I think one of the issues with your program is, and I don't want to be negative, I'm not negative, but a lot of pros, look, 20% of the people make 80% of the business. I don't care what industry it is, right? There's always a certain few group of people. I know in San Diego, it was just me, Woody Blocker, and Angel Lopez. Nobody else had anybody, right? We had the three of us had all the good players in San Diego, period. And I had kids coming down from Thousand Oaks, like Sam and Stevie would come from Orange County. So, I mean, that's what I mean. So your program, or even my program, because I have, what do you call it? Certified pros. I certify pros with the test and all that stuff on how to teach the nonlinear, what I've deemed as the nonlinear game. But a lot of these pros, they won't do this because they don't have much to say. They're more of a hit. Either they're more of a hitting lesson. Like I got some kids that are just such good ball strikers that basically your lesson is, let's go cross court, let's quick volley. So they really don't have that much to say. And I'm not saying their lessons are bad. I think hitting with a great player is probably one of the best things a player can do. If nothing else, you watch them and you visualize and you maybe start to mimic them. Plus you get a nice ball to strike, but it's not coming from a ball machine. So there's lots of benefits. I'm not putting anyone down. I'm just saying our technology is for headier people like us. Like I really have something to say, and then I'll tell my clients, like these ladies this morning, I said, hey, you don't use your hips. You're all upper body like this and it looks terrible. So they get the pair of these, and then we put them on the court, and then they start to learn how to use their lower body, their hips, and separate it from their upper body, kind of like shaking an apple tree and watching the apples fall, as opposed to breaking your neck climbing up the tree for an apple. Anyway, so that's my system, and I hear the way you coach, and I definitely like where you're coming from, even though we don't say it exactly the same. I think you would like what I'm doing, because mine's based on literal geometry. So you'll probably go, yeah, well, that's what I say, but I've never used it that technical. That's what I hear a lot from the good coaches, whether it's Emilio Sanchez when I visited him in Barcelona, or Nick down in Florida when he was around, God rest his soul. They always say the same thing. Well, yeah, I say I believe in the coil, Jack, but I never thought of it in mathematical terms, only what I see, my observation. So as much as I applaud your system, and I am going to go make myself a profile. And then the next thing, of course, you can tell us all is, how much does it cost? Do they play monthly? Do they pay weekly? How do they get involved? I don't know if it's for everyone, just like I don't know if nonlinear, my system is for everyone. Some people, whether it's coaches or players, they're like, no, just tell me to bend my knees and follow through. Some people don't want to know anything more. And some coaches, they'll just, they'll flaunt themselves and say, I'm old school. And I'm like, cool, man, you're old school. That's cool. No problem with old school. It's just not my school. So, that's the only thing I have to say is, not everyone. I mean, I can't stop myself in a lesson. You heard what I said to that woman. Okay, enough. Stop. Come in. Let me tell you. But right. Not everyone has that ability.
No, it's 100% true. But my thinking and thoughts are, if we give coaches enough tools to make revenues, and they have a group of kids they're teaching, the more and more coaches will get on. So in other words, they can do lesson analysis, whether it's video call, this or that. We're going to give them the chance for their group. Hey, I don't have to know that much. I can work on physical fitness of drills for these guys to do. They can be doing these drills, these
That's
drills.
Right. That's right. A lot of these pros, they train you, but they don't know how to teach you, but they train you.
10 minutes of volleys like this. I want you to move your feet and hit these volleys or something. They don't have to be that technical, and they can still be able to put their subscription out to their group of people. If they can start making a little bit of money with that type of thing, God bless them. Then they're at least starting to do something to get out of the hourly lesson for hire, basically, which is a dead-end street. And so the bottom line is, we all need to grow in life. If you don't want to grow, well, we know at the end of the day, you're going to have a sorry life, basically, right? Because life is about growing and experiencing at every level. So maybe you're not super technologically savvy, but if you get on social media, which most people do in this or that, you can see that there's a way to get your persona or your message out to your group of people. And so let's start playing around with it a little bit and start getting that message out. Okay, let's work on this. We can work on this. I don't have to be super technical, but I'll just give you some drills. And you know what? You follow me for $5 a month or $10 a month. And so they take little baby steps and start getting into the technology. But the reality is, the technology is here, and you're either going to move forward with it a little bit, or you're going to be left in the dust. That's the reality.
I agree with you 1,000%. Like I said, I've been doing this for almost a decade now, these virtual lessons. And now it's a big part of my whole thing. The membership, of course, is big for me, but these virtual lessons are big. I got at least 1 or 2 every day. And for me, I don't know if I told you, but I have a lot of patented products. The swivels are patented. I got this. You might dig this. So Paul and I, we made this wood racket.
That's a nice looking racket.
It's a beast. We model it after the profile, the Wilson profile of like 1990 something. And it's a beast. It hits beautifully. And, but it wasn't what I was going to show you. I just saw it and I thought, oh yeah, he might dig this. But part of my system is this idea of a sine wave. The most effortless players, like a Marcelo Rios, he had the power because he was like a Bruce Lee, right? He had this little figure 8 and he left his arm relaxed enough and lined it up to the 45-degree angle, which is archetypal in nature, right? divides the vertical and the horizontal is the 45. It's huge. But anyway, I don't want to get into that. But so basically I realized that great players don't come towards the ball like an arrow. They actually, as they make contact, they actually go away. Like when you do those ropes in the gym and you see the bump, it's the bump that hits the ball. And I noticed people like Roger Federer were using in his practice, he was holding a soccer ball and his coach was tossing another soccer ball and he would hit the round soccer ball with his round soccer ball on forehands and backhands, just understanding how it's really a roundness that hits a roundness. So intuitively, he understood that his stroke didn't come at the ball, but more like it created a bump out there on the hit, like the way Nadal finishes here, right? He doesn't follow through or, he doesn't go through the ball. He bumps it. He literally bumps it. So when I saw Federer with the 2 soccer balls, I said, well, shit, how come no one's made a product? And this is a new one, but this is kick ass. You would love this product, man, especially for high level UTR 9 and up. So you hit the ball with the round part. It teaches you how to lay your wrist back perfectly. It took me 2 years to make this, just to make the exact perfect roundness.
Very interesting. Yeah. To be able to strike the ball properly.
Perfectly. And I got kids that can actually hit topspin with it. It's very difficult because if you don't get way out on the hit, like you were explaining to that guy getting way out into the hit, if you don't get out on the hit like a Rios or a Federer, you'll just whiff because you'll just hit the tip every time. But if you understand,
that's a big problem in today's with the kids, is that everybody is like whiffing the ball and nobody gets any pressure through the contact, right?
That's right. That's right. So you learn with this. So I sell this to my clients, like these women that you just saw, they bought the swivels, they bought the online. I actually have on-court, visuals where you actually put it on the court so you can say, oh, that's how my arm's supposed to go. I see. And you can literally see it. And it's all geometric forms. I didn't make anything up. It's just something I studied. They're all geometric forms, how you can predict a tree blowing in the wind or a flag blowing in the wind. You can predict those things with knowing the amount of speed of the wind and all that. So I got into this friggin' geometry, which is heavy shit, really heavy. But yeah, so I came up with lots of different products, patents. So yeah,
that looks like a good one.
Thank you. So yeah, so it's a nice thing. So every time I get virtual students, we do our lessons, but then they also can buy products and then they put them on the court. Like this morning, we were working on those ladies' backhands. They got on the swivels because they weren't whippy enough on their strokes. And I'm saying, no, it's not up here in your shoulder. It's contrary motion. Your hips and arms relate to one another in a contradictory way, and pow, and that's how you make contact. So we use the swivels. So what I'm trying to say is your app shows me several different income sources, several. You could even sell product through like I do. I sell product through my virtual training because I go, hey, you need this product.
I'm happy for you to put anything. So we have a feed. You can also, I didn't even show you, there's the full court feed where
show me.
Coaches, you can post. We have channels to post stuff. Is this my test app? This is my test app. So this is the main one. So the full court feed is, you can post. There's like, I don't know, there's like 15, 16 different channels you can post. If for some reason I wanted to post something, let's see. Let me.
You mean so it's like a Facebook? Is it like a Facebook for all of you?
And we can brand your content with your, I'm sorry, what's the name of your company, or what do you
Broudy Tennis. Broudy Tennis.
So we could brand it with your logo, so every bit of content would be Broudy Tennis that you put out, and so we would basically we would have your logo on there, no problem. And then when you post stuff, you would basically you would post and be able to see it on the full court feed.
Yeah.
So
right up here. See this up here in the corner? That's my logo.
So send me that logo so we can incorporate it in your profile once you're downloaded, and then you'll be able to get on. You'll be able, once I have you up as an organization, I'll give you access to the Pro Library. I'll show you how to put it on all your content. And if you want to bring other people into your organization, basically, and have them an admin, I'd give you controls of the admin, so you could just add So when they post something, it'll be a Broudy Tennis. It'll basically show your logo on there.
Right.
And
I tell you, that's interesting. You see, because to me, I kind of do what you're talking. I have a membership and then certified pro, and then I only do two things: weekly lessons, couple hundred a month, and that's once a week, and then monthly lessons is $100 a month, where I just talk to you once a month. But yeah, yours is so clean, if you don't mind my saying. It's just such a clean app.
That we're improved, trying to work on proving all that. But so you could have, if you wanted your players, for instance, just to say, Broudy Tennis, they could put it on their content when they post stuff, and they would know it was your group. Now you can also, in the app, you can have private posts if you want to set up private user groups to post privately. So you have a group of ladies you want to post to, you can just post privately in there in the feed, and they'll follow you, and it'll show up in the feed as well. Or, like I said, so you have with this multiple participants, you could basically set up a thing and say, you know what, I've got a group of 8 women that we're gonna go over whatever, the forehand volley today. And I got 8 women, and I'm going to send you content in there, and you're going to send me video, and I'm going to charge all of you guys offline. You're going to send me $50 a piece to do this. All right. Or whatever. And then that's a separate thing, because if you have group participants, we don't have anything to hire groups, but you're able to make your user group in there. No problem. You're able to make as many user groups as you want and send video and analyze it. So it's great for clinics and stuff, for groups or whatever. I like it as well for, the parent, the kid, and the coach, basically, because you give a lesson to a kid and they go home and you ask them the next week what they were working on. They say, well, I'm not sure. What was it?
Of course.
Get the parents, hey, you got to work on this, right?
Yeah, I do. I see many sources of avenues of income with this. It's just limitless, really, what your imagination can come up with.
So yeah, once you get into it and start playing around with it, any feedback to make it work better or questions. And what I would like to do is, once you have a profile, we can do some live video call lessons on the app and on the computer to show you exactly, so you're comfortable with the system. Okay.
Yeah, that would be great. How do people, let's talk turkey here.
So right now there's no charge. So the bottom line is, there will never be a charge to download and use the app, as far as looking at the feed and interacting with the coaches and posting on there. When you start basically getting into storing a lot of video with the phone and with the app and stuff, then you start getting into cost. So I imagine
because you have to pay for that. You have to pay for storage.
Imagine somewhere down the line, the players to be able to store video and take video and store it. It would probably be something like, for players, $199 a month. And my gut feeling was, okay, coaches would be $499. But now where we're doing these, where we're building in, which is very technical, these subscriptions and these courses with other packages, which I'll charge a monthly fee. Now, those will be more expensive. So those will probably, like I said, be probably together, they'll be $20 or $30 a month, because we're giving them a chance to make a lot of money and keep their money, basically. So that's where we're at. But right now, there's no charge. So in other words, nobody's been abusing the system right now. Abusing it, I mean, I'll just tell you, live video call screen share, for instance, that system costs me about, on a screen share, about $1.30 to $1.50 an hour. So it's not expensive, but it does cost something, right?
Yep.
And so the reality is that obviously we don't want to eat that. So eventually, when people start using more and more of that we'll say, okay, you've reached your limit. Like, maybe we'll give them an hour a month or something, but then they have to pay, whatever. Our cost is $1.50 an hour or something. We'll charge them $3 an hour, so we don't lose any money. We can make it, but it'll always be cheap if they want to buy time, to do it.
Well, you're trying to help the pro, and so you can't charge that much, because these guys don't make the 80%, not the 20%, but the 80% don't make that much money.
And the problem with the 20% that do well is they don't use a lot of technology. Tennis, as has been real slow to use technology, and they're used to a certain way. And so that's why I felt that I needed to come up with additional ways for the coach to make money, where they start saying, you know what, this is a no-brainer. We need to do this. Because if you got on Instagram and you did private posts and stuff, I think they would take a 30%, a third off the top, because it goes right through Apple Pay.
Right. I have a question. So if I already have and this is not going to be a big question for any of you folks out there, but if I already have a lot of stuff, like years worth, like here, like this is these are where my members can go. They can look at the last weekend was backhand volley strength, 2.5 player, one-handed backhand volley. And it just goes on and on and on and on and on. And there's just pages and pages of these lessons. Can I load these onto the page, or does it have to be fresh, new?
Oh, you'll be able to load those on, of course. So
okay.
When you open that up, is it videos, or is it a paper, or what is it? Just tell me. I'm trying to.
It's just like what you saw, but except for it's all edited. Like I said, each one takes me a long time. Like this one I'm editing now. So I give the lesson, then I cut out all the crapola, and then I go through it and go, oh, I want them to see me in this section, or I want a real close-up of her wrist. And then I crop so you can just see her wrist, or I want to show this voice. So I've edited all these. So they're all edited, is what I'm trying to say.
Publish them on the full court feed so people can get an idea of how you work. So you could publish them if you want them to be free on the full court feed. You can publish them for free, and I'll help you show you how to do that. If you want to put it into a course or a subscription, like, okay, let's learn at the lower level how to hit an overhead or something like that. If you wanted to put it into something like that, and you go steps with videos to do that.
Interesting. So because these two young guys that are working for me now, very sharper than I've ever been, sharp young guys and good ballers and real ballers, they're telling me, Jack, you like your membership. That's all great, but you need little chunks too. You're like, what if you could sell each one of the lessons for $1.99? He says, they thought that's a great revenue stream. Could we do that on your site?
Yes.
Just sell a 40-minute lesson with like these two ladies.
You'll be able to sell it under a course, basically. Like that's our next thing we're doing. So right now, you could load that as a subscription, but a subscription is going to be ongoing, so that it's going to never stop. A subscription will be like just you. Okay, so I'm going to post content like once a week or twice a week, and it's going to be just ongoing. You're just going to follow Jack Broudy and what he posts, and it's going to be premium content. So you're going to learn. Now, maybe in this subscription, you'll learn about serves. Maybe in this subscription, you'll learn about volleys, right? And so it'll be point.
I see. So it's not like iTunes. You couldn't just buy a song.
No, but in courses, we will have that, so that you will be able to buy a particular thing. We will have that iteration. And so that's after we get this subscription, we're going to start working on that. So we'll have that, I think, by the end of the year, no problem. That's what we're going to be working on.
Great, because I think that's a really interesting way to go as well. Just an additional, like I said, all my stuff's, you got to pay $200 and it's a monthly thing. But yeah, if you had little bite-sized things people could buy just for $1.99.
A great idea. We have been thinking more like subscriptions ongoing, courses like content, and courses could be just like a one-off, like, okay, this is a course on this, a one-off a purchase, so you'll be able to do that. Or a course could last over 3 months. And so the course could be, or it could be a one-off course of just like, okay, this is a one-off course and I'm selling it for $199, and you'll be able to do that. You see what I'm saying?
I get it.
The bottom line is for you to have flexibility to design your course. So your course might be one little snippet for $199. It might be a 3-month period for you to work on the volley and send me, clips as well. Like you get some content, and we're going to go live video call, and you're going to send me some stroke analysis, and that'll be a higher end, higher program type of thing. Mine is about taking elite athletes, measuring what they're doing, comparing them to other elite athletes, and then coming up with a model of a variance between 5-10 top athletes, a medium range, and what it should look like, and then being able to produce that range in the virtual world and then compare yours to that virtual stroke. So you want a combination of Nadal, Federer, and Djokovic?
Yep.
What would the median range look like?
And it's funny because the way I see it, when I hear you talking, I'm like, well, wouldn't you like to see how there's a thin red line of geometry going through all three of those players? Doesn't matter if they, it doesn't matter if they finish like this or beautiful like Roger. It doesn't matter because the same geometry applies to all three, which is one of the things I would love to talk to you about off the record, you know, when we talk in private, because you see this thin red line of geometry through every great player. I don't care if it's Rios or Djokovic or Tsitsipas.
Right. Of course. I get what you're saying. Exactly.
Yeah. Anyway, Brian, thanks again, man. I really, really enjoyed our time together, and I look forward to more chats. No, that's great. It sounds very simple. It looks simple, and I think that's what pros really, they get a little intimidated when it's off the court, you know?
Well, I mean, you're a lot more technologically savvy than 99% of the coaches. So hopefully you can get through it. But any questions, just ask me. Let me know when you're up and send me your logo so I can get the logo put in.
Yeah, I will do that. And you know what we should probably do after we discuss a few things, we should do this again, and I can show people how easy it was for me, and we can discuss it, and I can show you if I have any issues or problems with it, and you could say, oh, we're addressing that, or, oh, no, you didn't look here at the hamburger menu. And
right there we have every area of the app, there's a question mark. So there's tutorials for every area if you have a problem.
Great.
Okay.
Well, I'll be on it, and I really appreciate your time coming on Living at the 45 with us and being here today. And I hope to send you a boatload of pros.
Thank you. I enjoyed it. Thanks so much for having me, Jack. I appreciate it. It was great meeting you.
You got it.